Hello everyone, and in this video, we're actually going to do our hands-on activity. The idea is that we are going to create our first AI workflow in the process. Now, I understand that creating complex workflows would require a lot of coding that needs to be involved, and at one point, we'll be doing that activity as well. But for this video, we want to create a simple AI workflow with the help of an AI automation tool called as n8n. Now, I personally like n8n because you can do a lot of crazy activity with n8n, and also you can run this n8n on your local computer as well. You can actually go to n8n website, which is n8n.cloud, and there, post coding, you can actually create a free account there. So post creating a free account, you get approximately 2 weeks of free account, and you can work on that. Apart from that, the engine also provides you with a self-hosted, right? Self-hosted n8n as well. So there's a complete documentation on the, how do you work on the self-hosting? It has the Docker installation. So if you come from a background where you know how to, configure the Docker and everything, this is probably the most easiest guide to basically follow through. You just have to run a bunch of command, and then you'll be able to basically, get your n8n workflow up and running in your own infrastructure. For any corporate, and if they are afraid of sharing the information with the people around the world, and then they don't want to have a third party ecosystem as well, these kind of workflow you can actually run it on your own local computer as well, or in your own infrastructure as well. Totally works fine. But for this demo, I basically created a free account on anytime.cloud, and it's super easy to create account. You just create account and then you are done. Now, I already have few of my n8n being created here, like the workflows. But anyway, like, we'll be creating a workflow from the scratch. So when you create a workflow from the scratch, you see this simple tool like, hey, add your first step and build with AI. Now remember, you don't want to use this one because obviously it's you just have to prompt it and then you can build it across. We'll do it with a hardware, which is like building every single block where the chance of making mistake is also controlled. Okay, so first step is how do you want it to trigger? So when you build this any automation, the first question comes down is how do you want this automation to get triggered? Well, do you want it to be triggered manually where you just go across and press button and then you trigger? Or you want it to chat, right? And then you send a chat and then your basically workflow gets created. For this purpose, I create a chat. Now obviously this is something which you have the other options to basically configure. I am not going to do any more configuration. I have this first block and you see a little bit you know chat block gets open up. Now, this n8n is so powerful that you can actually create a lot of workflows. From your day-to-day workflow, like sending email, automating your day-to-day stuff, or even doing a bit complicated one where you are basically getting a lot of other informations. For example, automating it with your S3, AWS, or any of the cloud providers or any other external tool in your day-to-day workflow as well. It works totally fine. For this one, we will be doing very basic automation in the first place. We'll be doing so that anyone who is also coming from an uncoding background, they can do this sort of the automation easily. So what? How do we start off? We have this. We have a chat box, so our trigger is ready. Then we start with an AI. So obviously, it creates with an AI agent. You select an AI agent, and this will be this specific prop gets created. You again close it down, or you can also press a skip key to skip from this. Fair enough. Now that we do have created a specific agent as well. So now that we have the agents in place, now we can actually go across and move to some other direction as well. Okay. Fair enough. Now, what we do is like, we see multiple things. Now, this is a part where we want to basically, understand a couple of things as well, which is what are the, different component which is actually present at this point, and how are these components being actual relevant in the entire picture as well. So let's try to look across with some of the pointers. Now, when you build any automation workflow, there are few components which becomes important. One is a brain, like who is going to think about this automation, right? And this model, in this automation, the brain is basically going to be our LLM, right? And that's what is basically going to be referred to as a chat model. The second one would be the memory. How are you going to all this execution which is going to happen? You would like to store these information somewhere. Now this is a typical database. You can connect your PostgreSQL databases, Mongo databases, the traditional databases that you want. You can use those traditional databases to store the information. Finally, your execution, which are the tools. In this case, it can be like a Gmail is a tool. Your Excel sheet becomes a tool, right? So multiple different things that you want, it can become a tool. The idea for this automation is, the idea for this specific automation is very simple, that we ask a chat model to do some activity. Hey, can you analyze the list of people and anyone who has scored less marks, less than this, send them a warning email or something like that. This specific URL that we are basically going to create would be a small HR exercise that we are going to do, which means we'll have a sheet of people, their name, their email address, right, and their attendance percentage, right, and also we can have like a performance percentage as well. Okay, we can add that. Now idea would be that we'll fill these detail with few people, right, employees, and then we would like to basically trigger or send them some emails, right? Hey, can just fill this information and stuff like that, right? Based upon certain condition, we are basically going to fill these informations, right? So let's build this automation in the first place. Okay, so in order to build this automation first of all, there are a few things. First of all, I'll just name this automation. So I'll just name it as an HR automation. This is going to be my first automation name, the HR automation. Now here it comes down to the chat model. For chat model, I'm basically going to use an OpenAI chat model. So you go across OpenAI chat model. It asks you to basically connect with an OpenAI account. And for that, what you can do is you just have to go there. Already my account has been connected, but I'll still show you how to create an account. You click on create a new account, and it will basically ask you to create an API key. Now, traditionally, if you go to the developer option of the developer option on the API key, so you'll be able to find out the API keys over there. So my bad. So I can just I just have to I'll just log in once again. Okay, so it says that I had I'll just open this quickly once again because the workflow got I set the wrong count. So I'll just click it once again. Okay, so OpenAI. Oh my bad, I already had it open over here. I don't know why I did that. But anyway, so go to my OpenAI and I'll just log into my OpenAI account. You guys can do the same thing. Quickly log into your OpenAI. Now, in order to work with that, I need to have a small, credit that needs to be added. Now, trust me, you can add like a $5 or $10, and $10 is pretty decent enough, right, to get your task done. And you can go to an API keys. Now, in an API keys, you can just go across, create a sample API key, right? So, HR, automation, test. So, I'm just creating a default project, create a secret key, just copy this up, go back to your automation, paste your API key. Now, the moment you paste it, you click on save. Now, if you get an option like, hey, connection tested successfully, which means it has. So your automation is going to use the OpenAI in order to basically, work around with all of the instructions. Okay, fair enough. So now that we can decide on which model to choose. Now I can select on a model 5, which is kind of pretty much famous altogether. You can also select the other models which are already present. First, I want to choose a model 5.2 for the task, right? Okay, you can select what are the pricing for each model are. You can, the pricing for the each model are can easily be seen by doing an OpenAI. So you can just quickly search for the API pricing for it, and you'll be able to see like what's the basically the pricing for it. So these are the input costing, and these are basically the output costing that you are going to have. So since I'm using a 5.2, my input cost is going to be 1.75 for 1 million token. The output cost, on the other hand, would be $14 for every a million token. Okay, that being said, right now I have selected this 5.2. I close this up, right? So my brain at this point is connected. Okay, next I need to connect to the memory, which means a database. Now you do have an option to connect multiple databases, but I don't want to. I want to keep it very simple, so I'm just selecting a simple memory, which is like nothing. It's just going to store the context window length of 5. Okay, nothing very fancy. It's a very simple memory I just created. Okay, next would be the tools. Tools are the one, as I mentioned, the actual working tools. Now, here, when you click on the tools, you'll find out that tons of different tools are already in picture, right? You can see like, list of, few tools which is there. You can see the action in app, and you can find out a list of different actions are basically there. For example, you have around the scraper tool, you want to create a workflow which will basically automatically scrape. You want to have some Anthropic tool, right? Asana, Autopilot, AWS Lambda if you're working with, AWS SES, S3, right, SNS. So multiple different tools are already being there, right? You can even search for a Gmail tool, right? You can even search for the Sheet, Google Sheet tool, right? You can even search for a lot of different tools as well. So let's do one thing. I'll just select a Google Sheet for now, right? And because I want to create a sheet through which I will be able to automate a lot of stuff. So I'll just create a sample HR automation tool, and I'm going to use this specific tool. So this is going to be the, let's say, the name of the employee, to write the email, right? To write the attendance percentage, then we can write the performance. So performance as well. That's a name, right? I'm just going to write some random names and some random emails as well, right? So I'm just going to copy a simple email address, paste that specific email address percent, let's say, of 40%, right? And performance is, let's say, 5 or 7. I'll make it like we are 3, okay? A poor performance. Okay, I'll just write another one, which is me, right? I'll just write a sample email and write like a 9%. Performance would be, let's say, 8 star. So as of now, I'm just doing very simple basic thing altogether, not creating anything. Now, a lot of people have seen in the specification when it comes with an HR, you do a lot of automations with, Google Forms, where the HR basically creates some specific forms and you store the output in response to a specific form as well in a sheet, right? And you can use this specific sheet to get the task done. So this is another way, like what I've seen a lot of people they do, they do it across. Okay, so we do have, the two people name that is being created. And the sheet is like, the HR automation. My sheet name is, so just try the employee sheet as well, right? Okay, I'll just go back. And at this point, I have to select what are the actions I'm going to do from this sheet, right? So I can just go across and, read the sheet employee. Okay, at this option, what are the resources that we are going to do? So obviously, I'll just have a sheet within the document. What action I'm going to do within the sheet? I can add or update the row. I can append in the row. I can clear. I can delete. I can create. I can delete rows or columns both. I can fetch the value to the get rows. I can update the rows as well. Let's try with the get rows, right? Which means I just want to fetch the information. Now I come across what document are you going to prompt here. I'm going to select an HR automation, and then within HR automation, which sheet did you want to do? I select an employee sheet. Now remember, this automatically gets stuff for me, right? Which is pretty much good. So I store this information, and then I just go across and save it. Right? Now, if everything worked fine, which means, right, if I just have to run this sheet, which say, hey, get me the list of all the employees. And now you see the chat message gets triggered. The AI agent basically calls the OpenAI chat model. Chat model decides that it has to call to a sheet. It fetches the information and it says, hey, you know what? This is the list of all the employees, which is basically being there. And I can that's right, like who is the best performing employee, right? So again, the same discussion basically looks around it. And now remember, it didn't hit this part because previously already it had extracted all the information. So it fetches it from the cache memory itself. It says, hey, Prashant is the best performance employee with a performance score of 8, higher than it in 3. Pretty cool, right? Uh, Otherwise, it would have hit it. And you can see after every run that you go across, you can see this little tick mark, right? So this tick shows that this specific operation got executed. Okay, let's add something else, right? And this time I'm going to add a Gmail, right? So I search for a Gmail and I see like there are two things. One is a human in the loop where you actually wait for a human to take action and then the action gets performed, or you just want to consume a direct tool altogether. So same discussion, you have to create a new credential. You sign in on with a Gmail. So for example, I'm just selecting a specific Gmail for that purpose. It asks you, do you want to share the information? You give them all permission. That's pretty much cool. Uh, okay. So I just gave them the information and now it says account connected, right? Which is good. Now the question comes down, what are the different options which is there? So what do I want to do? I obviously want to send a message, right? There's a lot of bunch of other things that you can do. You can fetch the message, you can read the email, you can send, you can reply, you can do a lot of other things as well. Right now, for this one, I just want to send an email, right? Now, to who you want, to you who you want to send this. Now, if you have a specific recipient that you want to send an email, you write that is a specific email address. Or if you say, hey, I want the LLM to decide. So there can be scenarios where the selection of the recipient can vary, right? So you want the LLM to decide on. If you want that scenario, which is more dynamic, you let the model define this parameter. You select this part. Similarly, what should be the subject? Again, let the model decide. What should be the message? Let the model define. Right. So select all of them and then you are done. So now my Gmail has been done. So now you can just write, right? Send the email to the worst performing employee, giving him a warning. And now you basically ask him to trigger an email. Now remember, sometimes, there can be scenarios where it does not have an idea about a tool that has been added. You just have to refresh the page. You reload the page, it gets refreshed altogether. This happens from time to time. Okay, so it says that, hey, I did send an email, right? So an email was basically being sent about to this email, which is nothing but a temporary email. And you can see just now I received an email address as well, which is like, hey, there's a performance warning. And this is a performance. As you can see, it wrote down the email and it also wrote down the automation as well. This is pretty cool, right? So you can get the fetch the information from the sheet, you do the calculations and everything, and then based upon that you ask the AI to do and take certain actions. Now this is the very basic of creation of an agentic AI. Now from this you can actually create a bunch of things. You can create more tools, and then in those tools you can do a lot of other activities as well. You can also extend this workflow by extending these workflows as well. That is another thing that you can actually do it, right? You can also go ahead and customize these agents. Like for example, you select on it, you can specify the nodes, the parameters, anything that you want to do. You can look forward to each and every parameter to it. You can go across and customize every single block based upon your requirement as well. Now remember, then the n8n comes with a marketplace as well. So you can actually search for n8n marketplace. So if you have this marketplace, you can actually go to this marketplace and you can search for the automation template in the marketplace as well. So look for the automation template and that bunch of templates which are already available, right? So look for the template, select which template you want to do, and then you proceed with that specific template. And it's pretty much easy. So for example, I want to use this specific template, right? You click on it, it specifies some of them are free, some of them are paid version. You specify, hey, I want to use this template. It says you want to copy. You just copy the template. You go, you create a new workflow, right? Create a new workflow, and then you do Control V, right? And that workflow, gets there. Further, if you want, you can just go across and add whatever the credentials are there for each and every parameter. You can look forward to it, and then you can quickly create a or AI automation workflow. So fetching these informations is not that very difficult, to work it out. Not just that, you can also go back and, for example, you want to export this one, right? For example, I create a workflow here and I just want to, save and, send this workflow to a different account. It's also something which is easy. All you have to do is press on this three dot and then you export it, right? If you want, you can just download it. Or if you already have a workflow being there somewhere else, you want to import from it, you can also import from there as well. So pretty much simple. It downloads the output in the account file, which you can go across, import it, update your credentials, and then your account is done. So that's all for the AI agents, which you guys can easily create quickly. In the upcoming video, we'll be creating more complicated agents as well. But this time we'll be using a Python program for it. So that's all for this video. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Thank you.